Welcome to the birthday bash. I am Rasko, your host, and I will be talking with my co-host very shortly. But yes, it was my birthday recently, as you can see. I had a great old time with family. I went to a few good bars up in northwest London, and I had a righty fine time. Very enjoyable time and good time. I went off. But what have we got today? Well, one second, just get the laptop. I'm a little late for the show because it wasn't going to be a show at one point. Instagram wasn't working, so the quicker we fuck Instagram off, the quicker I can be happy. What have we got? I'm going to be talking about the budget. I'm going to be talking about the craft beer channel things. I'm going to be talking about some beers with Disco. I'm going to just be talking. And Instagram is telling people we're alive. Well, that's great. I'm going to be drinking some beers. What have I got? Gypsy Hill Glimmer Tropical Stout, 4.5%. I got Dare Into the Haze IPA. And I've got maybe one of my favourites at the moment. If you follow our YouTube, you can see that, Disco's here. I'll wave to Disco. You can see that I've done a video recently. I finally put up the Signal video. I'm going to invite Disco. He's the only person. Signal on a canning day. I didn't use all the footage I wanted to, but I did use some. I was just waiting for Disco. Waiting for Disco. I must say.
Evening, Bono.
Evening. How are you?
I'm all right. I didn't realise it was fancy dress. I didn't get that memo.
Oh, okay. If you're calling me Bono, you're definitely the edge with wearing that beanie.
Yeah, I'm saying, I should have got my sunglasses.
Yeah.
Everyone else is saying, not you two again.
Oh, yeah, indeed. Haha. Hello, Satch. Hello. Aren't you ghostbusting by any chance? Social media.
So what is that on your head? Is it a birthday cake, is it?
It is. It's a birthday cake, mate.
Indeed. Happy birthday for the other day, even though I said it anyway on the social. I was going to dress up. I thought about a costume. Like, I spent this morning trying to glue my beard back onto a face mask to make it look like I had a beard again. But it weren't very good. And I thought there's nothing scarier than me without a beard, so I just this is my Halloween costume.
It looks like you've got some handlebars. And it suits you in a way. You should just have some handlebars more often.
It's not bad growth back from last week. You know what I mean? It's a bit more shadow, so it's all right. Okay. Cheers, sir.
Cheers. I haven't even had my pre-show cup of tea yet. There was a technical issue. Instagram wasn't linking me on. I saw your WhatsApp come up. I already gone live. Instagram wasn't linking me on. I had to reinstall a load of shit very, very quickly. And yes, it was quite fucking annoying. And yes, but I shall now have a drink. I'm going to have from Gypsy Hill Glimmer Tropical Stout. Now, this is at 4.5%. I've got to be honest, I am not that enthusiastic about Gypsy Hill. I don't hate them. Even though we were quoted in The Guardian this week, I don't hate them. I don't really hate any brewery. But I'm not that excited about them. So here we go. I'm going to give it a go. And they're not too far away from me.
Yeah.
It's tropical stout. It's smelling very tropical from the can. Got my taster out as well. Here we go. And there's that squeaky noise again.
I can't hear it. I haven't heard it.
Maybe it's these headphones. Maybe. Anyway, it smells very tropical. It is very tropical. It's not very stout-like at all. to be honest, in the first sip. It's quite nice so far.
Isn't it? So I don't mind Gypsy Hill. I don't have too many. Again, probably because I've not been avoiding London breweries, but I sort of like they haven't been at the top of my list. But I had a really good what was it? A maple syrup stout from them. It was like 10% waffler, I think it was called, like waffle stout. I don't know about tropical stouts. Like, what sort of tropical is it? Is it like, I don't know, what is it, like mango and like pineapple?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hello shark. Yeah, it's mango. It's pineapple.
Okay.
Yeah, that hit squiggling noise is really starting to bother me. But yeah, it's really very tropical. It's, you know, I have to remind myself it's not like orange or yellow. It's black. It's yeah.
Well, you get plenty of fruity stouts and stuff like that, but I've had one or two tropical stouts a while back. I think it didn't Siren, or I think it was Wild Beer did one. I just wasn't too sure because it's an unusual combination, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, this is nice. It's not wowing me, sorry to say, but it's nice so far. But hey, I've only had 3 sips. Shark says, I thought he was dressing up for Halloween. Well, I am. I mean, you know, it's 2 weeks of the year. And happy birthday. Thank you very much. I did have a good birthday. Spent it with a bit of family. I went around some bars in my old neck of the woods, your neck of the woods. Went to the Beer Asylum and to the Hop and Vine. And I gotta say, I had in the Hop and Vine Beer Asylum beer. I've been trying to get our hands on it because it's the inspiration by the Smoke Brown. I've done a video on the Smoke Brown and forgot to mention this beer whatsoever in it. Yeah, and my friend.
I was from Beer Asylum, and I haven't ever got round to doing them. I was going to do them for Oktoberfest, and we're now kind of out of October, so I'll have to do them next week.
Mate, I'd happily drink that all year round. I brought a bottle of that in Anne's Passion Hobstay's Bermondsey Beer Mile, and I dropped it. I never got to taste it. Yeah.
But that's one that's fairly available almost all year round. You see it in like odd random bottle shops here and there. So. Yeah.
A friend of mine summed it up. He summed it. He said it was like it's barbecue in a glass when you pour it, and I think that's absolutely right. It's a bit more smokier than smoke. Well, it's more barbecue than the Smoke Brown is. The Smoke Brown is a bit more smoked. If that makes sense.
Yeah, the Smoke Brown from Anne's Passion Hobstay is more kind of woody smoke, whereas the Champagne is a bit more kind of bacony smoke. And like say, Bob, what was that one? We had that one. I still can't remember that one we had. Did we have that one in Cardiff?
Yeah.
And I still, to this day, I wish I'd written it down or whatever. I still can't remember exactly what it is, but I think it was one of the Schenker? Selector. Never know how to pronounce it either. I've got one in the fridge. I'll have to do it next week. Now we're out of October almost. I went with sort of vaguely Halloweeny themed beers that I've got in this week. Starting off fairly pale ale, one called Demon Drink from Abbeydale up in Yorkshire back on Saturday. It's a perfectly good 4.2% pale ale. Dr. Morton's Demon Drink. Big story about, like back in the day when people called it the Demon Drink, used to get drunk a lot and all that, but there's nothing too much getting drunk on that. It's quite a sensible pale ale. So story on the can.
But yeah, and I went to Beer Asylum after beer. I only stayed around Beer Asylum for one because I wanted to get to Hop and Vine, and they were closing at 10. And I didn't want to, so I went down. Shark says never had a Smoke Brown ale. Well, Shark, there's always a first time, brother. Hello, Kent Beer Reviews. Good to see you in sort of non-seeing you sense. Can anyone else hear us squealing? Anyone? I know you can't, but let us know in the comments, please. Hello, Phil. Yeah, so I went back to the Hop and Vine, and that place is really impressing me even more. I mean, it was so friendly in there. You had such a bunch of locals. Everyone knew each other, and it was nice bars, nice atmosphere. I had only had 2 beers really. Well, I was on pints. I don't know. I'm going back into pints now. I'm instead of drinking halves, but I had saltire triple chocolate.
Oh yeah.
And I was happily knocking that back. And I had an IPA. I forget which did the IPA. No, it wasn't an IPA. It was a best bitter. It was a bitter. It was nice. It was good.
Yeah.
But I just stayed on the triple choc. And then when it came to closing time, I got a can out of the fridge from Wildcard.
Yeah.
Yes, so yeah, you can hear the squealing, Ken. It's fucking annoying. And there's a New England IPA called Slammer.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. It's got a beer of the year nomination. I need to post that and say, absolutely gorgeous colour and so smooth. Goes down very easily. Hardly any bitterness. It's just a little bit of bitterness down on the tongue, onto the throat, and it's not even like a big punch of it. It's just elegant, really, really elegant. Yeah. Yes, right. That's that. And then last night, after I finished editing the Signal video, I decided to go down to the Hope in Carshalton. I was back down south at this point. They had a beer festival that started on Thursday. And if you see my Twitter posts, by the time I got to the beer festival on Friday, they only had 3 barrels left.
That's a good effort. I mean, like the last time we went there, it was a Saturday, and we knew it was probably going to be out. I mean, it's schoolboy error to go to a beer festival on the weekend on a Saturday, late on a Saturday. But we knew it was going to be out, but we went anyway. But to go on a Friday to have, and they had quite a few beers on, didn't they?
They did. You know, I didn't. You know, the first time we went there, I thought there would probably be half the barrels left because it was meant to continue. It was programmed in until Sunday. I didn't think it would be that like that. And I had a red ale. I forget who it was by, and I had 2 fruity from Brass Castle, and it was gorgeous. But then I moved on to the main bar, and you know I smoked the porter by 5 Points Porter, Railway Porter, delicious drink, and Murdered Crows by Kissing Gate in the fridge, and something else. And I know I was only there for an hour and a half. I was pounding things quite a bit, and for some reason, I brought a barrel-aged saison in bottle and a barley wine, which I'm going to age. And looking back at it, it feels like a out-of-body experience. Why the fuck did I buy these 2 bottles? But hey, I'm going.
Well, like I say, the barley wine will age. I mean, saison is not everybody's cup of tea. I quite like saisons, to be fair. They've got a nice kind of rough and ready kind of drinkability to them. Some good flavour, quite a lot.
Yeah. But and then that's that. Yeah, and that's it really. So that the Hope have a dark beer festival, which is the same festival we tried to attend 2 years ago. And what was funny about that is that they came up to me though. They said, "You're Rasto or Rusty, aren't you?" I went, "I'm Rasko," and I went, "Yeah. We've seen your video. You filmed it right here. We watch what you do." And they're, "Oh, thanks. Where's Disco?" I was always up in Harrow. "Oh, we've got another festival. Bring him down." So I'll do my best. Oh.
That is brilliant. It's kind of, I don't know, it must be heartwarming. I remember, I think I've said it before, that time I went in the pub in Covent Garden.
The Harp.
Harp. I knew it was Harp. I was about to say Hope, but I went from Hope to Harp. And I walked in and the manager went, "Are you Rasko or Disco?" And I was like, "How do you know that?" So yeah, it's quite nice to like people say hello and all that. It's, you know, it's really good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Right. Here's well, let's not worry about him. Happened to Disco's beard. Good evening, sir. Well, if you pop back on either the YouTubes or the Instagram, you'll see last week's show where we had a show called Battle of the Beards. And me and Jim, the cameraman, had a little shave off just because, as you do. And yeah, come off. Took us whole year to grow it. 5 minutes, mine was done. So,
less than 5.
It'll grow back. I grew it on myself, and I was rather attached to it, but it'll grow back.
The Sharks are asking how you're doing with the new aerodynamics.
Yeah, I tell you what, if I walk down the hallway too fast, I start feeling it. You know what I mean? I do have to. Luckily, I've got my old thing I use as a face mask, the neck thing. I keep it just below my lip now, just to keep the chin a bit warm if I go around the corner.
Kent believes it was a good show. Well, I'm glad someone thought so.
Oh, it was a good laugh, mate. Me and James had a good laugh.
Anyway, so what's been happening this week? There's been a budget, and I can sum this budget up in 2 minutes after my in-depth research. What's happening with beer? You know, I got in touch with John from Lords and asked him for a quote. See if I could quote on him on it, how he felt. He said he hadn't seen it, but he forwarded me the email he got from Seba. Yeah, and it was all very positive and reassuring. Seba seemed happy with it. Camera seemed happy with it. Campaign for pubs are not happy about it. To me, I think it's the most nothing budget. It's a nothing budget for pubs and that, because here you on one hand saying we're going to increase wages, and you're doing all these tax relief and whatever things for cask. But I mean, it's gonna counteract itself. I mean, it really was. I don't know. I didn't really think kicking up a fuss over it was the right thing to do or worth doing. I mean, it's a mover and a shaker. I will agree, movement has been made. It's not going to massively change things, so that's that.
Well, as my mate Gaz Brookfield says in his song, what you give with the left, you take with the right. And so that's exactly what budgets do, don't they? They'll always try and penny pinch somewhere and appear to give you something. But the funny thing was, they appeared to give something, and as always, social media got on the case and went, hang on a minute, that's bollocks. And they was all going, oh yeah, we're going to give 5% relief on this, that, and the on draft. And then he read the small print and went, hang on a minute, you're only actually giving it on 40-litre kegs and above, and most craft breweries chuck stuff out in 30 litres. And then there was Rishi Sunak and Bozo the Clown down at 4 Pure, who's not a well-liked brewery anymore at the moment anyway. And they was pictured grunting and groaning, or pretending to, like making it look like they knew what a day's fucking hard graft was, lifting up 30-litre kegs that weren't applicable in the new season. You understand how social media works in like Muppets, you know what I mean? He's going to find out pretty quick. They ain't got a clue. But then, as always, shortly later in the week, I think, due to pressure from Seba and others, there was a notion that actually it might not be 40 litres, they might bring it down to 20 litres. Only because people had moaned about it.
Yeah, good.
So you turn complete clusterfuckery. So
it was, you know, Yeah, I think you summed it right. We can give with one hand, you take away. Craig Kedbeard review saying it's better for bigger breweries. It clearly is. I mean, there's a little chart I saw. How's it going to affect pricing? But you know, the beers we all like to enjoy. Afraid not. What Gypsy Hill was quoted in the Guardian saying that for higher percentage beers like dippers and whatnot, it's going to increase price. And my prediction a year ago, with the small brewery relief fund being changed, that it would affect breweries from being experimental in their taste in what they produce. I'm going to stand by that because I think this is only going to hurt the experimental side of beer. I think you're going to get more IPAs, yes, even more IPAs, and you're going to get less risk. And that's kind of what you need the small breweries for, to be risky, to be creative, to keep the industry moving and changing. And that's my ultimate shame for this. So I'm sticking with my prediction I made a year ago.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that because I think small breweries are always going to be experimental, mostly because they have to be. They've got the smaller ability because they've got smaller kit just to do small batch brews and experiment with stuff and bring more stuff out. I mean, the bigger breweries will do that as well, but to a lesser extent. So, but people got to keeping on. So I think eventually, you know, necessity is the mother of invention, and people will find ways around it. That's not fair. I think people will just find a way around it because they have to.
Watch this space. That's what I can say. It's ironic. The budget came out on Wednesday, and he did this relief fund for cask, and that's when the craft beer channel finished its final part in Keep Cask Alive video series. I did actually chuckle at the irony of that. I thought, right, this is where I embrace my inner Kerr mode. So it's a 5-part documentary series starting out. Oh man, this is getting really bad. What's Craig saying? There will be more lower and no ABVs and session IPAs. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. I agree with you, Craig. So for Craft Beer Channel, I announced they were going to do this. Well, I didn't announce. I overheard. I knew they were going to do it because Johnny Garrett was talking on the Beer O'Clock podcast saying this was going to happen. When I last met Brad at Brew London, he did say to me and Craig they had something rather big coming out, and it was quite massive. I said, all right. He didn't want to go into detail over it. I love the series. I think it's some of the best work. It's some of the best camera work. It's some of the best editing. It got a nice little catchy tune at the beginning. It was warm and cozy, and yeah. Every single part is different. My favourite one was actually when they were down in Margate and Broadstairs. I haven't been by that area in a decade, but I think I've been in one of those bars. Craig, if you've seen
I've been in the one in the front in the Broadstairs. I went to a music festival in Broadstairs, so I've been to one of them. When I don't think most of them were open. I was there about 5-6 years ago. But it's a really good. Again, obviously we've got Craig in Kent will tell you. Kent is an area for micro pubs and decent beer.
Yeah, I mean, I really got a sense of the area, and it's another one of like Brad Evans was the star of it, and we're seeing more and more of Brad in their videos. It was times where he just used to stare at the camera, wouldn't say a thing, and he's really kind of like opened up and blossomed, and he's got stronger and better. And I love his just down to earth, on the level nature of how he presents this. You know, so I was really pleased with that. I was quite pleased to see Emma Inch, in the Evening Star, not the paper. And Craig, you say you not watched it, waiting for the series to finish. It's finished, so I can binge them. Well, it's finished, mate. It's finished on Wednesday.
Yeah, no, they're watching more again is a good idea.
Yeah. So, and what they're saying, what future cask has. I rewatched some of the first one just before we went up, and there was a quote on Twitter from Roger Prods. He said, "Cask beer is British craft beer." And I completely backed that up. Cask is so crafty because the amount of effort and time, you have to do, not just making it, but maintaining it. That's more craft than anything. I mean, you have to keep the barrels fine and make sure it's tasting all right. And if it's no good, and you have to work with the barrel while it's in your cellar. That is so craft.
Speaking of which, has just occurred to me, like part of the series, the first one they did was at Abbeydale. And Abbeydale have been going 25 years, so they was all part, but like a really probably considered a craft brewery right now. I was going to say, look at the lacing on that glass, by the way. It's obviously a decent beer, and I'm really loving this glass. It's the same shape as my Discovery glass. So I've got this Turning Point one in from Trembling Madness this week, and I'm really loving pale ale and the lighter ales in this glass. It makes them really drinkable. So that's one shout out for somebody will tell me the name of that glass. I want to say Nonic, but I'm not sure. But I really love it.
Craig says I'm going to do a series on all the Fanet micropubs in the new year. Well, mate, if you need someone to help you out with that, you just holler.
My friend. Let's go. Because this is it's a birthday bash, so I thought I'd get the shots in.
All right.
So, a little amaretto for you, sir.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I'm doing this. You don't have to. A little bit of cinnamon.
Oh, thanks. I think.
And some apple juice I made myself just yesterday off of my old apple tree. You call it an apple pie shot. Cheers.
Indeed. But yeah, no, I think number 4, where they're out in Fanet, is my favourite of the series. I really did enjoy what the future was. I left a comment just today, actually, when they're in the first part, when they're in Fountain Mill, and I said, "What do you prefer? Who does the best cast, the Fountain Mill or the Wenlock Arms, just up the road?" Just to see.
The Old Fountain. Yeah,
the Old Fountain. I've never been to the Old Fountain.
I used to play darts in the Old Fountain. They had a board. We used to play blackpool there. And when I went to the Old Fountain, it was just before I was kind of getting into craft beer a bit more. And they did have a good bar there, but I wasn't overly fussed on some of the selection. But I've been back since, and it is a good bar. The guy behind the bar who runs it does know his stuff, and he does get some seriously good beers in. He has Anne's Patch and Update there a fair bit.
He was wearing a T-shirt in the video.
Yeah, so I can't wait I will go back up there. I wouldn't say it was better than the Wenlock Arms. Again, just as much selection and great craft beers, craft and cask beers. So I say craft and cask, I mean real ale. I thought I'd move on to something a bit more Halloween-y. I had this last year, pumpkin spiced ale. It's very pale ale. I think last one's can is up there, so this is pretty much the same deal. I don't know what pumpkin tastes like because I only ever have it in beers. It's not a particularly standout flavour, I don't think.
I don't disagree with you. 1 second, I'm going to try something. No.
Don't break it.
It's broken already, so I'm not really bothered. Turn off commenting. No, I don't want to do that. No, copy link. Oh, turn off questioning. Oh. Turn off request to go live. No. So yeah, but we move on to the second episode, Hook Norton. Well, I think I've had Hook Norton in a Weatherspoons or somewhere. But I really found that quite interesting. And that open fermentation and sort of whole brewing process. That's really Johnny Garrett's territory. Getting into the mechanics of brewing. That was good. And then you got the future, and then you see where the future, where it's going. Abbeydale were in that episode. Very good, very good, very good. I've spoken about the fourth part quite a bit. And what I will say about the fourth part, if you watch it carefully, slowly but surely, you can see Brad getting sunburned. Yeah. And the fifth part, the conclusion, they go to Fuller's. And they drink a lot of Fuller's vintage. And I'm going to get a bottle of Fuller's vintage ale and keep it for 5 years. 5 years I'm going to age it. And they talk about the history and where they basically conclude where it can go. And cask needs to stay alive. Now, this is all part of an initiative to make cask, give cask World Heritage on UNESCO, which I think is brilliant. Because if you do that, think about the opportunity. If you look at whiskey and how Japanese whiskey is boomed, where did Japanese whiskey makers go to learn the art of making it? They went to Scotland. So if you give cask a UNESCO status, you're going to have people all over the world traveling to the UK to learn these techniques. If you look historically, how a lot of beers came into fruition, like Vienna Lager and Baltic Porter, these are acts of industrial espionage. Well, you don't have to do that. So we've got a long tradition of other countries coming to here to learn how to do beer properly. Or find a new ways. So I think, you give the opportunity for cask to get UNESCO status is amazing and brilliant. So I'm all for that. I've actually signed it in my personal account. And boom, boom, boom. I might even buy the t-shirt. Keep cask alive. Might.
Superb.
And that's my inner Kermode. By the way, I've purchased a ticket to meet the great man Kermode. I brought myself a birthday present. And on November 8th, I shall be seeing the great man live in person. Yeah.
You get to meet him, or you just watching him?
I get to watch him on stage and interview people.
Superb. They say never meet your heroes.
Well, I am.
Well, you so.
Well, I'm going to see him live in action. I've heard him on many recorded and videos. He used to do YouTube videos. Now he just does his podcast many times. And now I'm going to worship him in person.
Superb.
Yes. Well, there was another thing we were going to cover today, and I forgot.
I don't know. I was going to cover it briefly. I know we normally do some shout-outs, but I was going to shout out. You mentioned him earlier, obviously, John at Lord's Brewing. Passed 1,000 subs on YouTube this week, so he's got to the magic number, gone monetized, and do a lot more stuff. So big shout out. Good stuff. He's been always helpful, friendly to us, and obviously we did his live stream, 24-hour live stream the other week. So he had a great night out last night. He was with Simon over at Glen Affric. What's the bit of that stream?
That's tremendous, because he was only at 700, say, 3 weeks ago. And I believe he was only on 800 on Thursday. So there you go.
Yeah, we did a live stream from Lord's Brewery. Simon went up there on Wednesday.
Yes.
And it was out in Leeds, and then they went across to Liverpool to Glen Affric. Who a brewery I obviously when last year when they started doing live streams, I did get some stuff from Glen Affric, and I sort of gone off. I haven't looked at them again, but there's some really good stuff on their website at the moment, Glen Affric. And I've still got that one. I was asking the guy from guy Craig from Glen Affric last night because he was left on the stream. I said about. Do you remember they had one last year? They did one with Johnny and Brad. They called it Metric Tonic, Tonic tea cake or Tonic caramel wafer. Apparently they got a cease and desist for that, which I thought was odd but they never explained it. I was like, tell us more, but they never did. I thought they was on the right side of the law with that one, but so I've got to crack remaining metric tonics at some point soon because it's been 18 months now.
That's interesting. What else was going to talk about? There was, I think it's about greatest pubs ever.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we were talking the other day, weren't we, about what's your greatest pub?
Well, we did a whole show dedicated to this about a year ago.
That's right, it was. Because I won a competition on Twitter. I had to name 5 pubs, so I just banged 5 on random pubs in, and somehow it won. And I won this glass, I won a t-shirt and bits and bobs. So has that list changed?
Well, you see, beer and pubs are very much in the moment, and I don't think I put. Did I put the Hope on that list? Because at that point I only been there once, maybe twice. Been there twice. Now I've been to the Hope in total 4 times. And I think if the Hope's not in any greatest pub list of the nation, I don't think they've done their job correctly, if I'm honest. It gets a mention because the business model gets a mention in the Camera podcast for what community pubs is. I mean, 10 years ago, this place was about to be turned into some gastro restaurant, but the local people formed their own company, bought it, extended it, and they then got no lease ties. This is literally a community pub, and you can buy, I think you might be able to buy shares in it. This model of community pubs has been very, very, very successful nationwide. And it's kind of doesn't get enough praise, in my opinion. So on that level, I'd praise the Hope. And look, I mean, they did a beer festival, but every time you step in that place is like a beer festival. The beers are just brilliant. And the food is excellent as well. I took Craig there. I don't think he's watching anymore. We had a great slap old meal, and that was when you had table service. Things are a bit more normal now, sort of. But yeah, and every fucking drop I had last night was amazing. A bit too good because I felt a bit rough today. But their Kissing Gate and Murdered Crows are fucking great bottle.
I think that was the one I had when I was there, and I dropped it on the train on the way home.
Yeah. I mean, I do get a bit anxious, and I can pound them quite quickly. And that place, going there doesn't really help because I just want everything. But you just can't do everything. It's just silly to even try. But hey. So would I put the Hope in the best pubs ever? I would now, yeah.
I think I can't remember. I was briefly looking through, and I don't actually know how to search Twitter, but I can't remember. I can remember some of the ones we put on there because I'm fairly certain I put the Hope on. But I think we had 2 separate lists. We had a top 10, I think, for the show.
We did. I did 5. You did 5.
That's right. So I think the Hope was on probably yours, if not mine. I know the Wenlock was on probably yours.
I know I went with the Oval, and I went with the Southampton Arms. I know that. Yeah,
definitely. In fact, I think we had 3 lists because I think I put because we're very London centric. I think we did London pubs, and I did actually do an out of London pub. I know we did. I did the Turf Tavern in Oxford. I did the Wheatsheaf in Northampton that we go to on football trips. I don't think of Brownsville's suggestion the Bellevue in Bangor because he went to university there and we had a few good beers there. at the time, back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really, I haven't been to the Bellevue in over 20 years, so I don't know if it's changed or not. It was a great pub. But this is kind of what the topic is, what makes a great pub. Because you would like to put the Timber Carriage on there and a pub, which we knew. And I remember the Timber Carriage in 1997 being booming and brilliant. And then a whole bunch of people left and went to university, and it never really recovered from there. I mean, a lot of...
It was more that we went into town because we found we could drink later, and we was like, going home at 11 o'clock. That's before like changes of opening time. And then I think then in 2001 when I went to Australia, I think everybody kind of stopped going there after that as well. And then by the time I got back, it had kind of shut down because everybody else had stopped going and was going into town.
And I remember this distinctly. September 1997, Princess Di died. And there was a whole load of people leaving, and then that was it. The Timber Carriage never recovered from that point onwards. People moved on in their lives. The town centres started booming up. You are right. And then we continued going on for another year to the Timber Carriage, but it never had the same amount of people. It never had the same crowd.
99 was the last time we were there regular. Maybe a bit of 2000.
Yeah. But I remember you were going there because you were getting a few lock-ins. You were going there straight up until 2001, like you said.
Yeah.
But the place had died, and it then became a heavy metal venue.
Really?
Yeah, no, it got taken over by a lover of heavy metal. Yeah, did some great heavy metal nights in there, and it was all right. I mean, it staggered on for a bit, but then eventually got knocked down. So, what makes a great pub for me these days? At my age, look, I've said this a few times. When I don't want to spend my time in a pub. I've got a strict budget. That is crap.
Yeah.
Right? I want good beer. I want a pub with a good reputation of good beer, and there's no excuse for it now. I mean, there's good beers everywhere, and it's changing. The whole beer scene is changing. I remember just before the first lockdown, I met with a friend of mine I hadn't seen in 16 years. She works at NASA, and I came by to see her. I bumped into Satch, who was watching the show earlier, and I can't. It was in Gloucester Road, this pub. I don't remember the name of it. Great selection of beers, but it had everything. It had your fucking Carlings and Fosters, and it had Bristol Beer Factory. It had Beavertown. It had the whole lot. So I was happy as Larry. That is what I'd like pubs to do. There's no excuse for it now. So for me, yeah, good food is good. There's no excuse for not to have good food. There's no excuse just to switch on the microwave. You can do it. Good food and good beer. That's all I want.
Absolutely.
If you go to a higher level of that, with music, yeah, sure, there's plenty of good independent artists. The Oval, which I've rated as one of the best pubs I've been to, has a real army of independent artists from all over the world coming to it. So there you go. I'm going to finish this up because I'm getting bored of it. And I'm going to do Dare. Media highlight. Yes. Yep. So yeah, that's kind of what I just want. Good beer, really.
Yeah.
And cask preferably.
I think it does help. Like, if you've got good company and good atmosphere as well, where it's like friendly and staff are good as well. So there's a whole bunch of influences there.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Because look, the pub industry was in trouble before COVID, and now God knows where it is with COVID, and this tax break-ish stuff was really a nothing it's going to result in nothing. I mean, it's a mover and shaker, but I don't see much happening from it. I do feel you have to support your pubs, but don't break your back. Don't kill yourself for it. When I lived in West London, a lot of the shithole pubs there got converted into fine middle-class gastro places where you pay an arm and a leg. But some of them didn't survive COVID. The Queen Adelaide, which is a shocker.
Yeah. That was one of the decent boozers down that road.
Yeah. But to be fair, their beers weren't that... Well, the beers were all right, their cask beers. They did them, and I enjoyed them, but they weren't, say, Southampton Arms or Wenlock Arms standard. To be fair, I don't think they treated the pipes with that much respect, but the atmosphere in the Queen Adelaide was always brilliant. I was very, very happy there. It's kind of detrimental for it to be so close to me. But yeah, seeing it closed was hurtful this year.
Yeah.
Funkster. Oh, hello. Oh, Shark's back. Hello, Funkster. You were seen on YouTube or Simon's or Lord's videos. Where did you go, Shark? Did you go to the toilet? Did you hunt any whales?
I just said when I came in at the top of the show, I said Bono, but in certain angles, it's more like Elvis Costello. It's a very Elvis. Can you sing Oliver's Army?
No.
What is a good one? Here's a question for you. What is your? I know we used to do karaoke talking about the timber carriage. Did you ever do karaoke at timber carriage? What is your karaoke tune?
No, never did it by myself. I never wanted to do it myself. Last time I did karaoke, right, is in Thailand. In northern Thailand, there was a bar, Chiang Mai. I was in Chiang Mai, and I thought I could do Queen really well, but I can't. And I'm never doing that again.
Which one?
What did I do? I think I did Under Pressure.
It's like the old joke when you're at a job interview and the interviewer says, "Can you perform under pressure?" And you go, "Well, I'm probably better at Bohemian Rhapsody."
Yeah. Shark says I was working on my suntan. Suntan. Oh yeah. Oh well, that's nice. You know,
I forgot you've been to Thailand. I know you've been around the world a little bit. Obviously, like I don't know if people know, but we've known each other for what, like 30 years or something now.
Well, yeah, I'm now 40, so.
Yeah, so roughly 34 years on and off. We've drunk in mostly the same places, but we've drunk in a lot of different places. So what's obviously from London, what's the furthest away from London you've had a beer?
Thailand.
Yeah, I suppose it would. You've been in India, but Thailand must be a little bit further, I suppose.
So Thailand's a few thousand miles further, yeah.
Fair play. What was your favourite beer in Thailand?
No, I had nothing to write home about, to be honest. I enjoyed the food. Oh, man, I could not stop eating in that.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was quite sad when I left. I kind of fucked up the trip. I went there for a wedding, and I got stuck on Phuket Island, which is a bit soulless. And I should have got the fuck out of Phuket Island the day after the wedding. I didn't. I stayed on for a few days longer. And then I got up to Chiang Mai. I flew up there, and I'm working my way down to our mutual friend Dominic in Bangkok.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I was in a kind of rush because, you know, when this country's so big, you know, it takes you 8 hours to get anywhere if you do it by coach or train or whatever. So I was kind of working, and I didn't really have as much time as I'd like to really do that. I did screw that trip up a bit by not getting the fuck out of Phuket quicker. But yeah, I'll go back one day. One day when the world's...
It might be Thailand, but what's the strangest place you've had a beer? Or the strangest situation?
Strange.
I realise I'm going to Thomas Window's beer reviews and putting you on the spot here, but it's just an interesting question.
As soon as you say that, mine goes blank, but I know there's some stories, and I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning with a whole load of them. Strangest, a few of them a bit scary. Strange, or strange as an, oh my God, I need to get out of here because I'm about to be killed.
Yeah, either or, man. One of those will do. Both sound kind of fun.
Not really. The strange, oh my God, I think I'm about to die. You know what is odd one? Me and Jim, the cameraman, when we went to the Bermondsey Beer Mile, me and him about a year ago, we were out drinking some cans. He brought some Cloudwater beers, and we were just wandering around, and we were at church grounds. And we got surrounded by homeless people. And it was like, oh, fuck. And I sent them a text thinking, we need to get out of here, because I was convinced one of them had a knife. I was like, we need to get the fuck out of here. That's a bit strange and weird. And they actually said, can we have a can? I said, yep, have a can, we're off. And literally, we were literally cornered by them. And, oh, man. Yeah, that didn't feel good. Strange.
Hi, Sarah.
Hello, Sarah. Biggest fan. You know, in India, when I was in Tamil Nadu state, alcohol is illegal. Yeah, alcohol is illegal. And in one bar, the police did a raid, and you had to run out of it. And we ran up to the roof and jumped over the roof. And luckily, the place that I was staying was next door, so I literally landed back into my accommodation.
That's pretty. Yeah.
But you know, when alcohol is not illegal, it is, but it isn't. I mean, you've got in the centre of town, you had this shop called Booze Shop because it sold booze, and when you'd go in there, you'd see the chief of police buying his whiskey.
Shark said he was riding a shark for his strangest place.
Yeah.
Like, okay, an actual shark.
Los Angeles. You know, I've been to some strange places in LA. Actually, you know, in downtown LA. Downtown. I'll tell you what. Downtown LA back then, 10 years ago. God knows what it's like now. That's got real character. But fuck me, it's the only place I've had to put my hands up in the air, and I wasn't waving them like I didn't care.
That's one of the reasons I've never been to America. I went to Hawaii instead.
Yeah. No, it's good. I'd go back to LA in a heartbeat. It's been 10 years. I dream about LA every month. I don't know why. Oh.
What's the most unusual beer you've ever drunk?
Don't know. O'Neill's Harrow. Yes, you know what? That is a strange place. The last time I went there, they still hadn't fixed the toilets. 20 years. 20 years. Yeah.
No, Steve used to fix the toilets there. We used to unofficially work there.
No. If you work, you get paid. You don't pay them. Did you go to?
Beer.
Shark saying, did I go to Hollywood? Did I go to Hollywood? Yes, I went to Hollywood. I did the whole tourist thing, mate. Yeah, got on a little double-decker bus and got the whole tour. Saw Zach De La Rocha from Rage Against the Machine crossing the road. There you go. And yeah, LA. LA is a strange place to me. It is. But I've got some good friends out there who I met in Edinburgh in 2000.
Talking about
Edinburgh.
LA.
I'll tell you what, come back. Edinburgh is a strange place to go drinking. Edinburgh is fucking weird. Love it to bits. What else did I do in Los Angeles? I went and made this bar, and I had Old Dirty Bastard. I did have a few craft beers, but the only one I remember is Old Dirty Bastard. And that's mostly for the name. Excuse me. I miss Californian sunshine. I regret not seeing more California. It's been, I really want to go to California and go camping. Yeah, camping in California before all the forests get burnt. And I camp in the desert. Yeah, camp in the desert. Ah, California. I'm inspired a lot by California music. That's all. And the water. Oh, it's cold. It's freezing, but it's fresh. It's good for surfing, providing you don't get attacked by sharks. When I did go surfing, the little Mexican kid who gave me the surfboard was like, "Yeah, watch out for sharks." So you're joking, right? No. No, I didn't have a problem. But yeah, very fun times. I used to go to have breakfast in this Mexican place every morning. They got me liking eggs. I don't like eggs. All right, Shark. How high altitude have you? What's the highest altitude you drank beer? Right, I can answer that one. There's a town in India called Uti. It's a hilltop town. That is way above sea level. I don't know. But if you Google Uti, you'll find out how high up I was and drinking beer. I actually got a little bit of altitude sickness from just being in there for a while. It's weird.
Presumably on the ground, not 38,000 foot on a 747.
Oh,
the Atlantic.
No, I'll tell you what, I don't drink on airplanes. I don't enjoy the experience. I just like to watch a film and listen to some music. Oh, yeah. Mate, that reminds me, when I was flying out to LA, I was listening to some beautiful jazz music. I was flying over the desert, Nevada desert, and there was a sunset. It was amazing. Really, really, really picturesque. Oh, that was beautiful.
Yeah, I just said about, sorry, I just had to dip out there. I haven't been to Edinburgh for a long time. I haven't had a beer in Edinburgh for far too long. I've got to go back to Edinburgh and to Glasgow as well. Would love to go back to Scotland. Maybe next year.
Yeah, no, Edinburgh. I had 2 of the best weeks of my life ever in Edinburgh. Uti is 2,240. There you go. That's how I thought I was in Navy. But yeah, so what was I saying? Edinburgh, I think, is because the way the whole city is built. I mean, you've got bridges and layers and levels.
The hill.
And I was there in the middle of the festival, and yeah, it was all a bit weird. There was this stand-up bar I used to find myself in. I don't know how, and it was proper flower power, man. They're raving on about George Bush. Every fucking joke was about George Bush. It was fine. That was a bit weird. And then they had some really dance atmosphere. Edinburgh, 2007. Oh, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's another question for you then, if you're going back in time. And again, I probably should know this about you, but I'd like to know your impression. What was your first beer you remember drinking?
Budweiser.
And where?
Timber Garage.
Really? Okay.
No, it wasn't my very first beer. I'd had tried beers before. couldn't get on with it. I generally didn't like the taste of beer. What got me into alcohol was Malibu and Coke. That was the drink that broke me in. And it's a very, very tasty drink, Malibu and Coke.
We'll catch up with the messages soon.
Yeah, and then Budweiser, and I wouldn't drink Budweiser now. In fact, last time I drank Budweiser was in LA, because I thought I'd do a very American thing, sit in a bar and drink Budweiser, eat chicken, and watch American football, and try and figure out what was going on. Edinburgh is the capital of Scotland. Yes, I did know that. I even went to their Parliament building. At the bottom of the Royal Mile, as I recall. Yeah, but mate, yeah. Well, what's the first beer you recall having?
Oh, well, I would have said it was a little bit before that, down the centre. I would have said it was probably the same as mine, probably Webster's Yorkshire Bitter for about 60p down the centre.
Oh, yeah.
Which predates the timber carriage a little bit. It depends how much you're drinking there. Like, it depends what you're counting as your first drink. Are you counting your first legal drink or your first actually legal drink?
Oh, well, one of the first beer I had when I was over 18 might have been Tetley's in the Firkin, Philomath and Firkin.
Oh.
Because that's what I like to drink. I've always been more that way. I've never been too keen on these lager things. I can't stomach Tetley's now.
Well, yeah, it wasn't that great back then, to be fair. So it was being Info Corner.
Rudlers.
Okay. Yeah, probably. But then the Firkin, I don't think, because I would always have the Dog Bolt or whatever the Firkin beer available was rather than Tetley's.
I don't recall that being there. But hey, it might have been there. Yeah. Yeah. That's going back. Too much alcohol, not enough me.
Sarah, in the comments, name one musical artist that you can think of right now.
Right, I think Sarah's gone anyway. Right, so yeah, what is this? Ask Rasko anything? Yeah, why not? It's my birthday.
I suddenly thought, yeah, let's do like it's not like this is your life, but this is your beer life. You know?
Okay.
And just like look at your beer influences.
John Smith's, I quite like that. I remember drinking that in the Silver Trumpet, saying that's good beer. And then magically in 2001, I hated it. I couldn't drink any more of it.
I don't know when we started drinking John Smith's. I think it was pre-Smooth Flow, and it was still Mac beer by then, but it was kind of. I remember drinking John Smith's Shandies in the timber carriage. I don't think we would have done that on Smooth Flow.
Yeah. Hello, Monaco and Graf, and hello. Oh, Sarah says the Bee Gees.
That's fair enough. It's not the one I was thinking of, but that's a good shout.
Anyway, yes, very good. What was I going to say? You know what? Drinking Queen Adelaide, I'll tell you what, because the BBC was still active in West London at that point, you would see an odd famous person, like Stephen Merchant used to pop in there.
Really?
Yeah. And what you call him? He was a Radio 1 DJ. Everyone, the whole world hated him for some reason.
In Westwood.
No, not Westwood. I don't know where he.
Maybe Travis.
No, he's best mates with Annie Mac. Nick Grimshaw. Nick Grimshaw's spotted in there a few times.
Okay.
And I remember walking past, when I was going in, he was just hanging outside with his mates. Oh, it's Nick Grimshaw. And he looked at me and then he kind of looked, oh, I'm trying to hide it. Mate, I do not want your autograph. Don't worry, I'm not going to hassle you. Yeah. And that's that. That's that, really. Oh, I'm loving my new shades. I brought these shades, well, I got these shades for my birthday, deliberately for this show, so I can look stylish. I look like one of my other heroes, Huey Morgan.
Okay, yeah.
So, which celebrity would you like to have a beer with?
Which celebrity would I like to have a beer with?
Yes.
Ashlyn B.
Yeah?
She don't drink beer, but Irish comedian, isn't it?
All right, okay, yeah. But I'd like to have a drink with Oliver Reed.
Oliver Reed. His best session rate.
Yeah, but hey.
I'm going to have a shot, sir.
Yeah?
Apple Amaretto. Up yours.
Tell you what, yours. This from Daya is going down very well. Into the Haze. Are you discussing music too? Yeah, we're discussing things. We're a discussion channel. I mean, yeah. Well, why? Ask us anything. Ask me anything. I don't mind. I mean, I'll give you an answer, but hey, ask me anything.
Yeah, it's not all about beer.
Well, it's sort of, yeah, why? You look like Elvis Costello. Oh, do I?
Didn't I just say that earlier, Rasko?
Mm-hmm. Elvis Rasko.
Have you ever been to Chelsea?
What? Yeah, of course I've been to Chelsea.
I don't want to go to Chelsea.
Yeah, I've been to Chelsea many times.
Yeah. Do you remember this T-shirt, Rasko?
No. Alien War. Fuck, Alien War. Yeah, I did that. I'd like the beer with anyone by Disco. Now he has said Aisling B. Ooh.
She means anyone but Disco. She knows us, Ashley.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Alien War. Yeah, I did that back in the 90s.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't sure if you was there or not, but I just saw it in the cupboard tonight, so I thought, well.
Wasn't there with you, but I did do it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. The alien chasing us down a corridor. Yeah, that was cool. Did it twice, in fact. That was cool.
That was like an escape room before escape rooms became a thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. They should do more of those things. I
don't even know why. I didn't enjoy it that much. I don't even know why I bought the T-shirt, but it did look pretty good. I think it's because I survived on the back.
90s, the mid-90s, love it. If I could travel back in time and relive the 90s, I would. But how would we cope without smartphones and the internet?
Yeah, how did we manage, man? I had to phone your mum. I had to phone your house, your landline.
Yeah. better way of living. Better way of living.
Was it? Swings and roundabouts, to be fair.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. That's a good point.
I would get a lot more done about the internet. I do spend a lot too much time on the internet.
I know what you mean. Well, I tend to get my work done because of the internet.
Well, yeah, that does help.
Like you said, swings and roundabouts, swings in roundabouts. Okay, this is going down very well. I'm quite up with the hypeness of Dare. for this. Well done, Dare.
I succumbed to the hype. I've not had a Dare.
I have, but that's another story.
So it says, did you like watching the detectives or the Sweeney? In the film?
Did you like watching the detectives and the Sweeney? No, I don't. Never got into it. Sorry.
Detectives.
Right. So yeah, what am I doing? Right. I don't know. I'm going to ask you a question. What is the strangest beer you've ever had? Actually, I've rethought this. The strangest beer I've ever had. But go ahead. I'm going to ask you that. Go ahead.
The strangest beer, it's probably... Oh, well, yeah, I hadn't even thought about that for myself. I think the strangest one was drinking Newcastle Brown Ale in a bar in Hawaii. It wasn't a strange beer, it was a strange location. It was just kind of odd to be all that way and drinking Newcastle Brown Ale. I think it was bottles or was it draft? I'm not sure. That was really odd. Strangest beer. Well, I mean, there's some strange beers in this country. I think I would say probably Brass Castle. The lemon and samphire ghost was pretty weird.
Mm-hmm.
Something come out with in this country is pretty odd.
Does anyone know called Alison? Yeah, I know an Alison.
Who the fuck is Alison?
Indeed. Yeah.
It's a different song.
Indeed.
Where would you like to have a beer? Where would be your favourite place you haven't had a beer?
Oh, mate. All over the world, really. I just want to try every beer that's going everywhere. I wouldn't mind going back to the States and trying some of the beers that they have over there. Going to that Hill Farmstead Brewery, which I hear so much about, rated one of the best breweries ever. I wouldn't mind sitting in the desert. I have this fascination. I want to go hiking and camping in the desert. And at the end of the day, when the sun's setting, I wouldn't mind having a beer. Yeah. Depending on what my hydration level was like, because if your hydration level is poor, you do not want to drink alcohol. I learned that the hard way in India, bizarrely. Because when I first got to India, it was the end of the hot season. And people were saying, oh, it's not hot anymore. But mate, it really was. I mean, it was silly hot. When some of the buildings you'd be working in, when they had power cuts, right, fans would go off. And the heat would just get unbearable. You'd have to go stand outside in the shade. And it was just absolutely, I felt nothing like it. To the point where one of the t-shirts I was wearing was drenched in my sweat. And you could rinse it. Literally just rinse it full of sweat. But yeah, and I had a few beers. And I had to have a rule of you have no more than 3 beers. Or you were just fucked. Absolutely. And I dehydrated. Actually, I broke the rule. And I dehydrated pretty the next day and couldn't really do, well, I did do much. I did a load of labour. And then I had to run out of the restaurant because I couldn't hack it. And I spent the next day after that just not feeling well. Hydrate. That is something I've never forgotten. So yeah, yeah.
Is that your drinking injury? What's your worst drinking injury?
It'll be that. Oh, no. I've got a permanent back injury, actually, from 2006, and Six Nations weekend. And, yeah, I came home and I fell down the stairs because I was drunk. And I remember just falling like this. I can see myself falling and being helpless. Wham! It didn't hurt much at the time because I was blind drunk. But the next day I was limping around thinking, why am I limping? And then it just came back to me. I fell down the stairs, drunk. And it's a permanent back injury.
Did you see, I don't know if you saw Steve, you know Steve who comes on in sometimes, Steve Bird, Steve's channel. He, I don't know why, midweek, he just randomly done a 5 chug challenge video. I think Shark was on it, and he ended up drinking at least chugging 5 pints in a couple of hours. And then I think on Wednesday, video up, and he's in a sling. He fell down the stairs, broke his collarbone and 3 ribs. I shouldn't laugh. It's a bit of a tit move, but bless him. So he's out for a few weeks.
Yeah. You got any drunken injuries?
Most of my drunken injuries are other people's injuries that I've sort of just been there for. Went to hospital on New Year's Eve once because Rob Daly tripped over outside the centre and bashed his head open on the drain cover. Well, my main drinking injury is trying to fight John outside O'Neill's, and he just stepped aside and I headbutted the pavement and my head just went, whoa.
Yeah.
That's my main drinking injury, I think.
Yeah.
In the pavement.
There you go.
But then that was my fault, as John says. I was drinking Stella. I think it's about the one only time I've drunk Stella. I think there's nothing else on. I think the pub had sold out. So
they are Elvis Costello songs.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, are they? Are they, sir? Anyway, so yeah. Wow. This is very reflective because I've got to say, turning 40, I have felt very reflective about the whole thing. It's not like most birthdays just go by, but this one has felt very, very reflective. I'm proper old now.
I know, like I swear, as I said, I've known you 30 odd years and I've never thought of you as old, but I've got 5 years.
I know this, but I'm old now. Anyway, I'll be doing videos about mental health soon. That's what you do.
Well, I don't know, keep on doing videos like you did at Signal. I know you mentioned it at the start of the show, I didn't quite hear it, but I thought that was a pretty good show, pretty good interview. They seem to enjoy it.
They did. I sent them a text this morning saying, it's ready, it's going up. And they said, oh, yeah, we forgot all about it because I did film it a month ago, but all the little edit things I wanted to do, and I was trying to get the best. I've got a lot of cutaway footage, but I didn't want to use, I didn't know how to get it in right, and that sounds a bit dodgy, how to edit it right. And I didn't really have permission to put everyone's face up there. And I knew I could have probably gotten away with it, but I didn't want to have to try and get away with it. And yeah, so I made it work. It was a fun experience, just they're canning. They're literally just canning. They're pouring, they got the machine, it pours beers, and they got another machine, it just goes along and it screws the caps on.
Yeah.
Then they QA check it, and a few of the beers that failed the QA check, they gave to me. I had a walk around. I saw through their contract brewing for, and they didn't want to really talk about it in the interview, so I'm not going to mention it now. And then I had a chat with Charlie. I met Charlie a year ago. He was on this show in the comments, and he invited me down. And yeah, we've had a good old chat. Tom Globe right? He's a very unique individual. I'm going to give him a lot of praise because I went down there. It was a month ago when Anspach and Hobday had their whole Oktoberfest festival. Now, I popped by Signal to give them some love and some support, and they said, oh yeah, the bar's not open. But Tom was there because he was just doing some paperwork. He said, oh, I can give you a beer if you'd like. I said, okay, yeah, I'll buy a beer. And I have a beer, I sit outside, and then I do an Instagram post, and then all of a sudden Tom comes out with a beer. He goes, may I join you, Rasko? And yeah, all right. He goes, so you're Rasko. And Charlie's met Charlie before, and he said, all right, Charlie keeps talking about you and your friend Disco. And all right, fair enough, because we get chatting. Tom, right, is a 24-year-old. He's the head brewer. He doesn't really like experimental beers. He really likes really grounded, conservative beers. I'm like, really? And Signal aren't that experimental. But they just do what they do, and they do it all right. And I thought, okay, this is kind of a match made in heaven. Now, Tom, just keep an eye on this guy. He will either be just doing non-conservative beer, well, very conservative flavors and beers for a while, or he will grow to become an absolute genius, a mastermind, or he'll leave the industry altogether. because he got the job. I mean, he met Charlie at a brewery tour. He asked to come down and see the brewery. Charlie liked his work ethic, and they got talking and made him head brewer. And I've got to say, what observing Tom? Yeah, he's spot on the mark. He's 24. He's 24. Man, he's shit hot material, this guy. So,
did he do a brewing degree? No. Just from the.
Huh.
Oh.
Hey, so yeah, keep an eye on that guy, Tom Globe.
Yeah.
So it was very, very interesting meeting. I'll be back down there to have a word. I'd like to actually introduce Tom to a few other beers to try and influence his direction of flavors and whatnot, because I think there is a certain X factor about him. So we'll see.
If he looks across the yard at Anspach and Hobday, who are in a similar vein, they do they just call their beers the porter, the IPA, but they have experimented a little bit. They've expanded out a little bit with some flavors here and there. Obviously the smoke beers that they do, and they had a couple of ghosties, didn't they? Like a pineapple ghost, and they've pushed out slightly because I think you have to. It's great having just standard beers and IPAs and pales and that. But I think you have to now and again go a little bit experimental and try something different.
Yeah, but the thing about Anspach is like they're heavily influenced from the part history and European beers, particularly German beers. They just do it really, really well. I wouldn't even call it. You're right; they're not that like experimental, but they just. In fact, if I'm honest, the lighter beers they do, I'm not that enthusiastic about. They're not bad. They're just nothing to beat their world down. Like this from them, the Baltic Porter. I'm drinking this in abundancy at the moment. Every time I see it, I just buy it because porters they excel in. Brown ales they excel in. Stouts they're very good at. That is where that's where their strengths lie. Tom's not really into that. Yeah. And I'd like to open his mind up a bit to it. And I think I'll send him a text, see if he wants to go for a beer. That's that. Anyway, where are we in the show? There you go. 1 hour, 26 minutes.
Yeah, hour 26 minutes in. We have had a good chat and a really good drink. An hour and a half is what we generally aim for, I think.
Yes, it is. I don't know if I'm here next week. I'm not sure. I might be. I may not be. But I am going to have a little bit of time off in November. And I shall see you all when I see you. Until then, stay lucky, stay happy. Disco, any final thoughts?
I'm going to have one more shot for you, sir.
Go on, you do that. You do that. Oh, Shark! I don't know if Shark's watching anymore. He's not. What did you buy recently? Did you say a beer you bought recently?
I haven't put a post up yet. I will tell Sharks shortly, but yeah, I did have a little wander to the supermarket the other day. I do have in my possession a couple of Sierra Nevada Pale Ales that I swore blind I would never ever touch, but you and Shark have, well, kind of talked me into it, I suppose. And Shark is looking at some kind of smoked porter or smoked beer that he doesn't like. So we'll have that coming up. We'll have that discussion during the week. I'll put that post up that I've got them, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good.
Elsewhere, I'm not sure. But well, that's in discussion. My first ever Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. I'm still not convinced it's a good idea, but then I did see Crummy Beard's video. I missed it, but it came up on suggestions in March, where he did one where he hadn't had Sierra Nevada before either, because, like me, he didn't think he'd like it. So, and he said it was good. So, kind of convinced me. Maybe just. I think we need to find you a beer to do on that show. That a beer you don't like. What is a beer you don't like? What's your least favourite beer, Rasko?
Probably that Saison I brought yesterday.
You haven't tried it yet?
Yeah, sours, ciders, not keen. But, I have, in the Green Dragon, I had a toffee cider once, and I found that all right. That was very crafty, though. I remember being at Boomtown Festival. That's a weird place to drink in. That, in 2010. That was fucking weird.
I've looked at that, and I'm like, just as I was getting into festivals, I'm like, that may be too much too soon, but yeah.
Oh, mate, it was a cocaine festival. Cocaine, people walking around with white mustaches, not even trying to hide it. That place was fucking weird as hell. They had a lot of warm cider. And beer ran out very quickly, and it was like running dry on the last night. And I made the silly mistake. They wouldn't let you in if you had so many cans. And I didn't smuggle beer in when everyone else did. I don't know why. I wish I had, looking back at it. And I started to drink warm cider because I still can't drink cold cider. But warm cider I could do quite happily and quite nicely. It's a fucking weird festival. It was absolute bonkers. Had a great time. But yeah. Oh man. Yeah, weirdest place I've ever drank. Boomtown.
Boom. On that note.
Yeah.
I have no further questions, Your Honour.
Indeed. All right. No one wanted to celebrate my birthday, so bye-bye, everyone.
Well, I celebrated with shots, mate. I did my best.
Yeah, indeed. Oh, I noticed the alcohol was getting to me after a few days of drinking. Not really drinking much, but I'm going a bit pink in the skin, so that means I've had enough.
Because you're 40 now, son.
Indeed.
And before, thanks everybody for watching, who have watched in, and if you're watching this afterwards, thank you very much indeed. Cheers, and all the best.
Yes, bye-bye.
Cheers, Rasko. See ya.